A 14-year-old girl had been saving coins in a shoebox for 3 years, hiding it under her bed where the other orphans couldn't find it. On July 12, 1987, she finally had enough money for one thing she'd dreamed about since she was 11. But what happened at that concert would make headlines around the world. It was the Who's That Girl World Tour at Madison Square Garden in New York City. Madonna was at the peak of her career, having just released her 3rd studio album. The arena was packed with 40,000 screaming fans, but none of them knew that in the upper balcony, squeezed into one of the cheapest seats in the house, sat a girl who wasn't supposed to be there at all. Sarah Mitchell was 14 years old and had lived at St. P. Catherine's home for children in Brooklyn since she was 4. Her mother had died of pneumonia when Sarah was 3, and her father, unable to cope with his grief and alcoholism, had surrendered her to the state. For 10 years, Sarah had moved through the system, a quiet, unremarkable girl with brown hair and glasses that were always slightly too big for her face. She wasn't a troublemaker, which meant she was often overlooked. She wasn't particularly charming, which meant families looking to adopt always chose someone else. But Sarah had one escape from the grey walls and institutional smell of St. Catherine's Madonna. It started in 1984 when one of the older girls at the orphanage had a transistor radio. Late at night, after lights out, a group of girls would huddle around it, listening to whatever station they could pick up. That's when Sarah first heard Like a Virgin. The song did something to her that she couldn't quite explain. It made her feel like maybe somewhere beyond the chain-link fence and the social workers and the endless rules, there was a world where she could be somebody different, somebody free. From that moment on, Sarah became obsessed with Madonna. She would cut pictures out of magazines left in the common room. She memorized every lyric to every song she could hear on the radio. When other kids were playing outside, Sarah would practice Madonna's dance moves in the bathroom, using the mirror above the sinks as her stage. In 1984, Sarah started collecting coins, not stealing them. She wasn't a thief, but finding them, a quarter, left on a cafeteria table, a dime dropped in the hallway, pennies in the couch cushions of the visiting room. She kept them in an old shoebox under her bed, beneath a loose floorboard she'd discovered when she was 12. Every few months, she would count her collection, calculating how much more she needed. A Madonna concert ticket cost $22.50 for the cheapest seats, for a girl with no allowance, no job, and no family to give her money. $22.50 might as well have been $1 million. But Sarah was patient. She was used to waiting. By July 1987, after 3 years of saving every coin she could find, Sarah had exactly $23.17. It was enough for a ticket, with a little left over for subway fare. On July 11, 1987, Sarah learned that Madonna's Who's That Girl tour would be coming to Madison Square Garden the very next day. By some miracle, there were still tickets available. Terrible seats in the upper balcony, but seats nonetheless. The problem was simple. Orphans weren't allowed to leave St. Catherine's without permission, and permission was never granted for something as frivolous as a concert. Sarah knew what she had to do. She would have to run away. Not forever, just for one night. Long enough to see Madonna, then she would come back and accept whatever punishment they gave her. It would be worth it. On July 12, during the afternoon recreation period, Sarah simply walked out the front gate. The staff was used to her being quiet and obedient, so nobody noticed when she slipped away. She took the subway to Manhattan, her shoebox of coins carefully wrapped in a plastic bag in her backpack. At the Madison Square Garden box office, She dumped all her coins onto the counter, quarters, dimes, nickels and pennies, and asked for one ticket to see Madonna. The box office clerk, a middle-aged man with kind eyes, looked at the pile of coins, then at the thin girl with oversized glasses and nervous hands. "You saved all this yourself?" he asked. Sarah nodded, terrified he would turn her away. The man counted the coins slowly, then pushed 67 cents back across the counter. "You'll need subway fare to get home," he said, handing her a ticket. Section 417, row mem seat 3. "Enjoy the show, kid." Sarah had never been anywhere like Madison Square Garden. The sheer size of it overwhelmed her. The lights, the sound, the thousands of people all pressed together in excitement. Her seat was so far from the stage that Madonna looked like a tiny figure, but Sarah didn't care. She was actually here. When the lights went down and the opening notes of "Open Your Heart" began, Sarah felt something break open inside her chest. She sang along to every word, her small voice lost in the roar of 40,000 fans, but for the first time in her life, she felt like she belonged to something. Madonna moved through her setlist with precision and power. "Lucky Star," "True Blue," "Papa Don't Preach." Each song felt like it had been written specifically for Sarah, as if Madonna somehow knew what it was like to feel trapped and desperate for escape. For 90 glorious minutes, Sarah wasn't an orphan. She wasn't a ward of the state. She was just a girl at a concert, singing and dancing and feeling alive. It was during La Isla Bonita when Sarah saw them, 2 security guards moving through the crowd toward her section. Behind them was Mrs. Henderson, the head administrator from St. Catherine Sec, her face tight with anger. Sarah's stomach dropped. Someone must have noticed she was missing. Someone must have called the police, and somehow they'd found her here. She tried to slip away, moving toward the aisle, but there was nowhere to go. The section was packed, and the guards were already at the end of her row. "Sarah Mitchell," Mrs. Henderson's voice cut through the music. "You need to come with us right now." Sarah felt tears spring to her eyes. She'd known she would get caught eventually, but she'd hoped, prayed, it would be after the concert ended. Not now, not in the middle of everything. "Please," Sarah begged, as one of the security guards grabbed her arm. "Please, just let me stay until it's over. I'll go back, I promise. Just please. You're in serious trouble, young lady," Mrs. Henderson said coldly. "Running away, stealing money." "I didn't steal it." Sarah's voice cracked. "I saved it. Every coin for 3 years." But nobody was listening. The security guard was pulling her toward the exit, and people in the surrounding seats were starting to notice the commotion. That's when it happened. The music stopped. Not gradually. It cut off mid-note, leaving an eerie silence that rippled through the entire arena. 40,000 people, who seconds ago had been singing and dancing, went quiet. "Excuse me." Madonna's voice came through the speakers, sharp and clear. "What's happening up there?" Sarah looked up toward the stage in disbelief. Madonna was standing at the edge of the platform, one hand shielding her eyes from the spotlights, staring up toward the upper balcony. "You, security," Madonna pointed toward Sarah's section. "What are you doing with that girl?" The security guard stopped, looking confused. Mrs. Henderson stepped forward, as if she could somehow explain the situation to Madonna from 200 feet away. But Madonna's microphone was powerful enough to amplify her next words to every corner of the arena. "Bring her down here. I want to talk to her." What happened next felt like a dream. The security guards, unsure what else to do when Madonna herself had given a direct order, began escorting Sarah down through the arena, not toward the exit, but toward the stage. 40,000 pairs of eyes watched as Sarah descended level after level, her face red with embarrassment and confusion, tears streaming down her cheeks. When she finally reached the stage, a crew member helped her climb up the stairs, and suddenly, Sarah was standing on the same stage as Madonna, the woman she'd worshipped for 3 years, the voice that had kept her sane through the worst times at St. Catherine. Up close, Madonna was smaller than Sarah had imagined, but there was an intensity in her eyes that was almost overwhelming. "What's your name?" Madonna asked, her voice now gentle, speaking into the microphone so the whole arena could hear. "Sarah," she managed to stammer. "Sarah, why were they trying to take you out of my concert?" Sarah looked out at the sea of faces staring back at her. This was it, the moment where everyone would know she was just some pathetic orphan who'd run away. But something about the way Madonna was looking at her, not with pity, but with genuine interest, made Sarah tell the truth. "I live in an orphanage," Sarah said, her voice barely above a whisper, but amplified by the microphone Madonna held toward her. "I wasn't supposed to leave, but I saved money for 3 years to buy a ticket. I just wanted to see you perform, just once." The arena was dead silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Madonna stared at Sarah for a long moment, and Sarah saw something shift in her expression, a flash of recognition, as if she saw something of herself in this awkward 14-year-old. "You saved for 3 years?" Madonna asked. Sarah nodded. 3 years and 2 months. Quarters and dimes, mostly. Madonna turned to look at Mrs. Henderson, who had been escorted down to the floor level and was standing near the security barrier, her face uncertain. "Are you in charge of this girl?" Madonna asked. "Yes. I'm the administrator of—" "Then you need to know something," Madonna interrupted, her voice taking on an edge. "This girl didn't do anything wrong. She had a dream, and she made it happen through patience and determination. That's not something to punish. That's something to celebrate." Madonna turned back to Sarah. "How much of the concert have you seen?" "Most of it," Sarah said. "This is the best night of my life." Madonna smiled, not the stage smile she gave the cameras, but something real and warm. "Well, we're not done yet, but I'm not singing another note until I know you're going to be okay. Will they punish you for running away?" Sarah nodded, not trusting her voice. Madonna looked back at Mrs. Henderson. "Ma'am, I'm going to ask you something, and I hope you'll consider it carefully. This girl saved money for 3 years. 3 years to see this show. She didn't hurt anyone. She didn't steal. She just wanted one night to feel like a normal kid. Can you find it in your heart to let her finish watching this concert, and then we'll make sure she gets home safely?" The arena held its breath. Mrs. Henderson looked at Sarah, then at Madonna, then at the 40,000 people waiting for her response. Finally she nodded. "She can stay," Mrs. Henderson said. "But we need to talk about this when she gets back." Madonna's smile widened. "Thank you. And Sarah, you're not watching the rest of this show from section 417. Madonna had her crew bring a chair onto the stage, right next to where the backup singers stood. For the rest of the concert, Sarah sat there, watching Madonna perform from 5 feet away. It was surreal. She could see the sweat on Madonna's face, hear her breathing between songs, watch the way she moved, and commanded the stage with absolute confidence. But more than that, Sarah could feel something she'd never felt before, the sensation of being seen, of mattering to someone. Between songs, Madonna would glance over at her and smile. During Live to Tell, Madonna reached out and squeezed Sarah's hand, and when she performed Who's That Girl, she dedicated it specifically to my friend Sarah, who reminds us all that dreams are worth fighting for. The arena erupted in applause, And for the first time in her life, Sarah understood what it felt like to have thousands of people on your side. When the concert ended, Madonna didn't just send Sarah back to St. Catherine's Say. She invited her backstage, along with Mrs. Henderson. In the dressing room, Madonna sat down with both of them. "Sarah," Madonna said, "I grew up without much money. I know what it's like to want something so badly that you're willing to sacrifice everything for it. You did an incredible thing tonight, saving for 3 years. That takes real character." She turned to Mrs. Henderson. "And I know you have rules to follow, but I'm asking you, please don't punish her for this. She's already shown more discipline and determination than most adults I know." Mrs. Henderson, who had softened considerably over the course of the evening, nodded. "There will be consequences, but I'll make sure they're fair." Madonna smiled, then reached into her bag and pulled out something that made Sarah's eyes widen: a Polaroid camera. "Let's take a picture," Madonna said, "so you'll always remember tonight." The photo captured both of them smiling, Madonna with her arm around Sarah's shoulders, Sarah's face lit up with pure joy. But Madonna wasn't finished. She also handed Sarah an envelope. "Don't open this until you get home," Madonna said. Sarah promised. Back at St. Catherine's that night, after Mrs. Henderson had given her a stern but surprisingly gentle lecture about running away, Sarah finally opened the envelope in the privacy of her room. Inside was a handwritten note. "Sarah, you reminded me tonight why I do what I do. Keep saving your coins. Keep dreaming. Keep fighting for what you want. You're going to do amazing things. Love, Madonna. P.S. Use this for something that makes you happy." Tucked behind the note were 10 $100 bills. Sarah stared at the money, unable to process what she was seeing. $1,000, more money than she'd ever seen in her entire life. But more than the money, it was the note, the proof that Madonna had seen her, really seen her, and believed she was worth something. Sarah Mitchell never did get adopted. She aged out of the foster system at 18, like so many others. But the money Madonna gave her didn't get spent on concerts or clothes or any of the things a normal teenager might want. Sarah saved it, just like she'd saved those coins, and used it to pay for community college courses. She became a social worker, specializing in helping foster children navigate the system, and in every office she ever worked in, prominently displayed on her desk, was that Polaroid of her and Madonna from July 12, 1987. Sarah would later say in interviews that Madonna's act of kindness didn't just change that one night. It changed her entire understanding of what was possible. Before that concert, Sarah said years later, "I thought I was invisible. I thought nobody would ever see me or care about what I wanted. Madonna taught me that I was worth paying attention to, and once you learn that lesson, you can't unlearn it." The story of what happened at Madison Square Garden that night spread quickly. Newspapers ran features about the orphan girl and the pop star. MTV played the footage on repeat for weeks. But more importantly, it started a conversation about foster children and the systems designed to help them. Donations to orphanages and foster programs spiked in the months following the concert. Madonna herself became involved with several child welfare organizations. And across the country, other kids living in group homes and foster care heard about Sarah's story and understood something crucial: they mattered too. The night Madonna stopped her concert for Sarah Mitchell wasn't just about one girl getting to see her idol perform. It was about the power of recognition, the simple act of seeing someone and acknowledging their worth. Madonna could have let security remove Sarah from the arena. She could have finished her song and continued with the show. After all, She had 40,000 other fans who had paid to see her perform. Instead, she chose to stop everything and pay attention to one person. That choice created a ripple that spread far beyond that single night. It changed Sarah's life, yes, but it also changed the way thousands of people thought about foster children, about determination, about what it means to truly see another human being. Today, there's a small plaque in the lobby of what used to be St. Catherine's Home for Children in Brooklyn. The building has since been converted into affordable housing, but the plaque remains in memory of all the children who passed through these halls. May you find someone who sees you, believes in you, and helps you understand your worth. July 12, 1987. The story of Madonna and Sarah reminds us that sometimes the most important thing we can do is stop what we're doing and pay attention to someone who needs to be seen. It reminds us that dreams are worth saving for, even when they seem impossible. And it reminds us that a small act of kindness, a moment of genuine recognition, can change the entire trajectory of someone's life. Madonna stopped her concert for an orphan who saved quarters in a shoebox for 3 years. But really, Sarah saved Madonna's concert by reminding her and all of us why any of it matters in the first place. Because at the end of the day, the lights and the costumes and the choreography mean nothing if we don't use them to help people feel less alone. If this story of courage, determination, and human connection moved you, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. Share this video with someone who needs to be reminded that they matter. Have you ever had someone see you when you felt invisible? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to ring that notification bell for more incredible true stories about the moments that change lives forever.